guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the month of January, which is one of my favorites because it's my birthday month. But you may notice that you see me a tiny bit clearer because my boyfriend got me a webcam for my birthday. So pretty much this video will be my January wrap up and the many favorite things that I enjoyed in this month. And I had a lot of favorite things this month. So let's get into the wrap up. The first book that I finished in the month of January was Holly Madison's Through the Rabbit Hole, The Curious Adventures and Cautionary Tales of a Former Playboy Bunny, which I quite enjoyed this. I love her as a person anyway. Basically, it kind of tells us the truths of Hugh Hefner and what goes on in the Playboy Mansion. Of course, he wants to paint himself as this perfect gentleman, but he is definitely a man who loves to be fought over, and it's very clear in this book. So if you have any interest in Holly Madison, the Playboy Mansion, or Hugh Hefner, I highly recommend this. I listened to this on audiobook and I enjoyed her narration as well. If you're into this sort of thing, I think you should pick it up. I think I've noticed that I'm not a big star ratings person. On Goodreads, of course, I do star ratings, but that's not really the first thing that comes to my mind is rating a book by star. You know, if I really like it, I keep it, and if it kind of is iffy in my book, then I go and sell it and try to get something else. As soon as I finished Holly Madison's book, I got to The Princess Diarist, and I'm obsessed with her handwriting. Look how pretty her handwriting is. I also listened to this on audiobook because I wanted to hear her voice, and also her daughter, Billie Lourd, I think that's her name, she narrates her journal entries. So the first half of this is kind of an explanation for these journal entries, what was going on in her life. It was 1977, I believe, 1976. The beginning of it is more her explanation, and a lot of this goes into she and Harrison Ford's relationship, and I think she just describes it as somehow it's going to come out that she and Harrison Ford were a thing, and she'd rather it come out of her mouth than somebody else's or telephone kind of ordeal. So basically a lot of this is about Harrison Ford and Carrie's relationship. Basically Carrie was 19 and Harrison was in his 30s and he was married, and they had an off and on relationship for years, and all of this is kind of journaling how she was feeling throughout that relationship. I mean, I feel like anybody can relate to her diary entries, but a lot of them hit home for me because I was in similar relationships, not from someone who was a large gap in age, but someone who wasn't giving you everything that you needed or the validation of your relationship and how it takes a toll on you. So a lot of this really hit home for me, and I loved that her daughter read the diary entries, and I watched the HBO series of Wishful Drinking as well, which was also very enjoyable. So if you're really into Star Wars and you're really into Carrie Fisher, I highly recommend this. You can't see it because I think the light is too bright. The next book I read was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, and I did a whole review and chat about this, which I'll pop it right there. So I'm moving more to a minimalist lifestyle, so it was constantly recommended to me, so I just wanted to see what it was all about. Everything I thought about it, everything I was feeling about that book is in that video. A lot of the stuff is very logical. Some of it was a little weird, some of it really helped me out, so I do recommend it. Her basic theories are very logical and very useful. So if you are wanting to also move towards a minimalist lifestyle or just declutter your whole life, I recommend that book as well. So this next one, which I ordered on Book Depository because I wanted this specific cover, like this, oh my gosh. So the Daphne du Maurier Rebecca, which I loved, and I can't get over this cover. In Rebecca, we have a no-named girl who ends up meeting a man named Maxim de Winter. He really fancies her and he wants to marry her. So she ends up moving to the estate of Manderley, and she becomes Mrs. de Winter very quickly to find that she doesn't know her husband as well as she thought. You know, he doesn't really open up about his previous wife. She had passed away, but she hears it from everyone in the household. Everybody talks about Rebecca. Everybody loves Rebecca. It's kind of symbolism that we don't really know her name and that she is Mrs. de Winter, because it is about a woman struggling to find her identity. The room is the same as Rebecca left it, and nobody wants to change it because Rebecca was in there last and has all of Rebecca's nightgowns still, clean, and so she is trying to live up to Rebecca. I know that Alfred Hitchcock directed this film for Rebecca, and I feel like he would be the perfect candidate to direct this film because the whole time it felt like a black and white 1940s film. Had a lot of twists and turns and characters that knew some things and didn't know some things, and the truth comes out very quickly. And of course, it has an abrupt ending. But I definitely want to watch the film now because I love Alfred Hitchcock anyway. But this just felt like a 1940s murder mystery thriller. Oddly enough, it gave me a Jane Austen, Jane Eyre kind of feel. It just felt like a classic to me. Rebecca feels like one of those classics that I want to read every year. It just felt very luxe and thick. It had me guessing. And this cover, it's like so freaking gorgeous. I'm so happy I ordered this on Book Depository, even though it took me like 3.5 weeks to get. Maybe it was just winter or something, but I highly recommend it. Now I want to read tons of other Daphne du Maurier like Jamaica Inn. I've heard wonderful things about too, so this is not my last du Maurier. The last book that I finished in January was actually the one that I pulled out of my mug, and it was In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. I loved every minute of this book. Of course, a lot of it was really hard and I had to take pauses because I wanted to cry my eyes out, and I watched all of her YouTube videos. I just love Yeonmi Park. Obviously, we have heard some crazy things about North Korea, but some of the things are really suppressive, and North Koreans are prisoners by the Kims, and it's really, really sad. And ever since I've read this, I've wanted to do what I can do to help, how I can support her further, and obviously by me promoting her book helps promote her further, which this is not my favorite cover. I just picked it up because I wanted to support her, and I'll buy all of her books if I have to. There's one cover in particular that I love, and I'll probably order it on Book Depository. So she was 13, and she and her parents grew up, we would say in America, a lower middle class life. Her father got into some trouble and he went to prison. So of course, if one person in the family goes to prison, everyone is tarnished by his reputation. So they were poor, her mother and her sister just trying to survive and trying to eat. And with her sister abruptly leaving, that kind of propelled them to want to go, leave through China. They had a connection with these group of people that said, we can get you through China and hopefully up to Mongolia and you guys can be free. Which, long story short, turns out to be sex trafficking, having abusive new husbands, and her only being 13 years old. And that was her first experience having sex, and this whole thing is heartbreaking. And then to learn about the realities of North Korea and the sex trafficking in China, and that the fact that she had to travel through the Gobi Desert to Mongolia by herself. And now she's so outspoken about it, and she's not scared of the Kims, but anytime she talks about the Kims, there was one video in particular, a YouTube video, where, we in America, we make fun of the Kims, and we make fun of Kim Jong-un, but she's crying and saying, don't see them as a joke. They are real. And now I don't look at them the same. She is now an activist, and I want to follow her career and do anything I can do to support her and try and shine a light on North Korea and try to save these people. You get in your head sometimes and you think about the political climate, everything that's going on, and you're angry and you're so upset, and we're out there protesting, and things going on in my life that aren't going as well as I'd like to think, and then I read something like this, and so in my head, in my problems, and then I read this book and I feel like it brought me back down to earth. It made me realize how great our country is, that we can live in a country where we can protest and we can stand up for what we believe in and have a voice and wear jeans if you're feeling really in your head and really affected by things going on in our country. Maybe try and read this because it'll kind of put your life in perspective and say that we do live in a great country and we don't need to make it great again because it already is really great. Of course, we need to fight for what we believe in, but we can do that here. We have a democracy and we can make change and we can support each other and be outspoken to one another and not be put in prison for it. And so that's why I love America and I love living here. Okay, I'm gonna be done. I'm done preaching. I have 3 books that I'm in the middle of, so I'll finish them in February, hopefully. I'm pretty far into The Secret History, which of course everybody loves, and I want to love it too. I've been pretty addicted to it. I just want to know. So I'll be finishing this very soon. I'm also in the middle of Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I did watch a review recently that said, even though, you know, this book is absolutely beautiful and the writing is beautiful, that you kind of feel distance from the characters. And that's what I was picking up on from the very beginning, because I tend to like books where I'm really connected with the characters, but I don't want that to deter me. Now that I watched that review where it's a little distancing, that makes more sense to me, and I think that has inspired me to continue. I've read a good chunk of Illuminae. I'm not fully into this yet, but I want to finish it just to finish it. Those are the 3 books that I'm in the middle of that I'll probably finish in the month of February, but now I'm going to pull it out of my jar. So if you don't know what this is, pretty much every month in my wrap-ups, I pull one out of the jar and then I read it this month, which last month was In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park, and that changed my life, so hopefully this will too. So I pulled 9 stories by J.D. Salinger, which I have wanted to get to those short stories forever, so this is kind of perfect. Who knows, I might finish the other 2, but 9 stories is all this asked. So the second half of the video, I'm just going to talk about my favorite things that happened in the month of January, which of course my golden birthday. Turned 28 on the 28th, and it was a wonderful evening. Drank tons of wine, played tons of games, had tons of friends come over. A lot of people got me some home warming gifts, so lots of wine and lots of candles, my favorite kind of gifts. My 2 favorite games in the month of January is Werewolf, which I have a video of my favorite games currently, and I go in depth about Werewolf. And Gloom we did play, and it's very fun. I need to play it a few more times with different people to really solidify my love for this game, but it was very fun. So another thing that happened this month is I signed a lease for my new apartment. I'm very pumped, and I've been slowly buying some things, and I feel like I want to make a video where I just kind of show you guys some of the new home items that I got and do a little apartment tour once it's all staged. Let me know if you'd be interested, because I'm probably going to make it anyway. And I was happy that this month I decided to move towards a minimalist lifestyle, and I've been cleaning out everything and reorganizing everything, and it's made me a much happier human being this month. So when I move into my new place, I'm going to keep going with it. So 2 finds that I found this month, which they're heavy. I found these amazing versions of Jane Eyre. So this is Jane Eyre here. Look at that. Which, you know, I have a practical Jane Eyre, and then these are just the decorative Jane Eyre. Random House 1943 sold. And of course I got Wuthering Heights as well. Like, ugh, Mr. Register. Lastly, one of my favorite things of the month is I started my bullet journal. I, like everybody else, got a Leuchtturm 1917. I always used to buy, you know, yearly calendars every year, but I would stick with it for a few months, but I felt really limited with them. So when I saw videos on bullet journaling, I felt like it might be right up my alley, so I just started it, you guys, and I enjoy drawing and I enjoy doing art, so I thought this would work perfectly for me, and so far it has. I've really enjoyed it after less than a month that I've been doing it. I'm really hooked, you guys. And I can also do a full in-depth video of, you know, planning future months, or do some flip throughs for you, but I've really enjoyed this. So this first kind of section that I have is a year at a glance here, and I have all of the birthdays, events, and holidays in all different colors. So I have all my friends' birthdays listed here so I don't forget, and I can get them gifts, and then that way I can see the whole year at a glance. So this next page is my wants and needs list, and I also have a list of board games that I'd like to get. Pretty self-explanatory. All the things that I want and a few things that I need. Like, I threw out all of my old bathing suits because I didn't like any of them. So now I need to get 2 bathing suits for the season because I have none. Feels great, but also I feel like a bathing suit is a need when you're going on vacation. So this next page is my books list. So I have all the books that I've purchased that I haven't read yet, and you know, 3 of them I've read now. And I accidentally put the square here, but I'm going to have to figure out what to do with this square. But basically I'm going to write down every new book that comes into my home, and then I can mark them off. That way I can visually see how many books that I have that need to be read in order to buy more books. And then of course I have my Nancy Drew, so that if I find new Nancy Drew books, I know which numbers that I have. So it's kind of my little books section. Then I have meals, the meals that I enjoy making, and then I have the meals that I would like to make. I haven't had balsamic chicken in a while, so I have them all written out so that I can see my meals that I make at a glance, and or meals that I would like to try if I'm feeling adventurous. Then this next section is a little flap that I have, and I have important login information in here, and that way I can remind myself too to change my passwords every 90 days or 60 days. Then I have a blank for another collection that I would like, that I think of. If I have another collection that I'd like to think of, I left a few pages blank. Then this is my January month at a glance here. So I have books that I finished, videos that I've filmed, video ideas, favorites of the month, so everything that I've spoken about my favorites are on this favorites list. And then I have a habit tracker, which I just started, but I'm doing very poorly with tracking my habits. But I would like to get in the habit of tracking my habits, if you will. But basically, this is my monthly overview and some things to remember all month. Then I get even more detailed throughout the week, and I have a hydrating tracker of how much water that I drink a day, which I'm realizing that I'm not drinking as much water as I thought I was. I have a little section here of things that I'm thankful for, which I thought was really cheesy at first, but writing it down actually did bring up my spirits. So I may actually have a little gratitude square. Basically, I have little to-dos per day here. So you can see I have little to-dos per day. Then here I have my rifled paper market list, so I can write down things that I need to get at the grocery store. Then I'm starting to plan for moving, so I have, needs, wants, and to-dos for moving. So I'm getting prepared and excited. Then I've already started working on my February spread here with my month at a glance with my habit tracker, and I added playing guitar because I don't want to be an amazing guitar player, but I do want to play more than I am right now. So I have play with Sybil, because Sybil's basically a hamster, and sometimes you kind of forget that she's there because she's nocturnal. So I want to make sure that I play with Sybil every day. I do a little bit of exercises, whether it's yoga or stretching. I would like to read, physically sit down, take the time to only read. I'm a huge multitasking person, and I love listening to audiobooks while I'm cleaning and packing, but I really this year want to make more of an effort to sit down and read more and only read. That's it. And bed by 11 p.m. and meal prepping. So those are some of the habits that I'd like to get into next month, and we'll see if they stick. But then I still have finished books, videos that I've filmed, and ideas, which I have a few ideas for February, and some of my favorites, which I've already put apartment, because duh, it's gonna be my favorite thing. Then I've already done the first week of February. I like to have a full month overview and then break it down per week, which I just started Monday the 23rd, so that's why January is not really that full, but I've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed, taking some time to really, do more art. I used to do art a lot, and I used to get paid for it. I used to commission pieces, but I'm just not as, passionate about that anymore, but I enjoy still having art in my life, and this brings in organization, to-do lists, and art all in one thing. So bullet journaling has become a huge thing to me. If you want more videos on this, or if you would like to also get inspired in bullet journaling, please look up other videos. It's very fun, and I've really enjoyed it. If you have any questions, ask me. I've enjoyed this. So that's basically my wrap up. I read some amazing books this month. Started the year off amazingly. Spent a lot of time with family. Found some new games. Found an awesome version of Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights. These are amazing. Now you know I'm serious about this when my boyfriend buys me a nice webcam. He's so supportive. I had a wonderful month, and I hope you did too. And I am also looking forward to February and getting my new place in order, and I will definitely show you guys once it's all decorated and staged and all my new little goodies. I got some really cute little hedgehog decor, and that's about it. So I will see you in my next video.